delighted to be joined now by former Labour Health Minister, Lord Norman Warner. Norman, a very good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. Good afternoon.
You're looking very smart. Very, very smart this afternoon.
Well, I'm pleased to hear that.
I'm not going to have a go at you in any which way at all. I don't even want to talk about Starmer because I'll start ranting. There's an appalling story today.
Now, let's correct something. I was in the Labour Party. I left because of Jeremy Corbyn. So
good man. Do you think it's any better under dreary to Keir Starmer or what?
Well, I don't usually go around abusing fellow politicians. So you're entitled to your view.
Well, no, I'm not abusing him. I'm just telling you the truth.
It didn't sound terribly complimentary, if I may say so.
Well, he is a farmer harmer, isn't he? He's upset the farmers, he's upset the veterans, he's ruined the lives of many pensioners.
I mean, his policies may be the wrong ones, but
I don't think it's abusive to call him two-tier. But Norman, two-tier is not a disrespectful comment. It's true. We've got a two-tier justice system. We've got a two-tier police system, it seems, under him. So I guess that's just the name that stuck. But listen.
Yeah, carry on.
Let's ask you about this talk exclusive today that has risen. I mean, this has been in 5 years in the making. Thousands of European women living in the United Kingdom are returning back to their home countries to give birth by claiming the costs on the NHS. An investigation by Talk found that nearly 4,000 women, Norman, had their babies abroad over the past 5 years, costing the NHS a staggering £3.1 million. Now, a loophole allows foreign nationals who ordinarily reside in the UK with settled status to exploit the system by claiming for resources intended for Brits abroad. I get the distinct feeling, certainly from the people who listen and watch to this station, there's a growing frustration in this country from people who feel that they're getting towards the back of the queue in many instances. You'd understand that with that story.
Yeah, I can see that. I read the data your researchers sent me. I thought it was rather odd, in the sense that 4,000 people had their baby for £3 million. Now, I suspect that 4,000 mothers having their baby in the UK would have cost rather more than that, because that's less than £1,000 a birth. And I'd be very surprised if women went in, had a baby, stayed in 48 hours to recover, with discharged. I'd be very surprised if that cost the NHS a good deal more than £1,000 per baby. Now, I agree that the system sounds very odd, but I'm not sure that financially the NHS is losing a great deal of money. They may actually be having the babies cheaper than it would have been if they'd have stayed in the UK and had their baby here under the NHS.
What do you make generally then of the NHS? We had a massive talk yesterday on the station, on many stations in newspapers. There was one of those reports that comes out every year about people's satisfaction or dissatisfaction with the NHS. It showed that only 1 in 5, 21% of people think that the NHS is doing a good job. And then, of course, we get into this whole debate. Is it about more money? Is it about stripping it bare, getting rid of the huge catastrophic waste? What's your view, ex-health minister?
Well, I don't want to be bragging, but when I was a health minister, we had 70% satisfaction with the NHS. I don't claim personal responsibility for all that.
What's gone wrong?
But there's been a sad decline, and we did a lot by actually enforcing targets. And we did actually get people, for the overwhelming majority of people, never waited more than 4 hours in A&E. And certainly we were not having people being dealt with in A&E in corridors. Something has gone seriously wrong with the NHS.
What do you think that is, Norman? What do you think that is?
Well, I think the management at the centre can't claim a great deal of credit. I mean, I see that the NHS chief executive has been quietly retired, and there's a new guy taken over, of someone who I do know of, as I've got a great deal of respect for. But ever since COVID, we've just not moved the backlog of people.
Do you think that we make
it... Conservatives or whether it's Labour, it's barely moved. It's 7 million or so waiting for attention.
Do you think that, I mean, I've always thought that the I don't know how you put this. I think the idea of free medical help at source is good, but do you not feel that it's now being made available to far too many people and missing the people who I would say very much deserve it in many instances?
Well, we're out on a limb compared with most European. Most European countries have got some kind of social insurance.
Yeah.
And we are one of the few, or certainly one of the few big countries that try to fund the NHS out of general taxation. So I think there is an issue, and there have been people of both parties who've argued that we should move, certainly for social care and for some of the less acute hospital treatments, that we should move to social insurance and start to accumulate the resources while people are working to pay for healthcare as they get older, healthcare and social care as they get older. And I think we are living on borrowed time on trying to fund the NHS out of a shrinking tax base, general tax base.
Do you think it's available to? Do you think it's available to people who it shouldn't be available to, who don't pay anything, don't pay their stamp, and don't get involved?
Well, I think it's quite difficult to argue with the rest of the country. I think that they should be subsidising people who have not contributed very much to the NHS. That's the beauty of the social insurance system. The social insurance system starts to take money off your payroll when you're younger to build up the funding to actually pay. And what we've got now is a system, even on the Health Secretary's own admission, is broken. And we can't keep parroting it's broken. We have to do something to mend it. And I suspect something now pretty dramatic, because we're living in a world where the economy is not growing. Whereas the bill from the NHS is growing.
Couldn't agree anymore. Lord Norman Wan, thank you very much indeed. Would love to take that further. Former Health Minister.